We're talking about Die Hard from 1988, directed by John McTiernan. And I've heard this is the ultimate holiday movie.
I beg to differ.
But it is definitely Bruce Willis's well-known role. Great. Well, I would say it's the ultimate Christmas movie because I feel like nothing's more Christian than massacring people for something you believe in.
That's horrible to say, but agreed. But just because you put Christmas music in the background of an action movie does not make it a Christmas movie.
I felt the spirit. So, the first thing I noticed is Bruce looks way young.
He's hot. I'm just kidding, he's not. But he's definitely in his peak physical form throughout this movie.
Yep. He's not in his bald-headed phase.
Could be because this is almost 30 years ago.
This is true.
Was he bald during the movie?
Was he bald during the movie? No.
He had hair?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I didn't even recognize the hair or realize that there was hair there.
Yep. But he had a bag. Oh, he had a bag and a giant bear in overhead on the plane, which you definitely can't carry on all at once. And he also had a gun.
Yeah, I wrote that. He was smoking and had a gun in an airport. So definitely pre 9/11. And no one freaked out when they saw the gun in his coat and just assumed and believed him when he said that he was a cop. So all you got to do is say you're a cop when you're carrying a gun and everything's okay.
Well, not anymore.
Well, back in 1988.
And it looks like their family has a Hispanic maid/nanny called Paulina.
Yep.
Which felt a little stereotypical.
Yeah, but it is Southern California. So
that is true. So he's trying to get home to his family for Christmas because it's a Christmas movie. And his limo driver, Argyle, which is a great name, doesn't look old enough to drive a riding lawnmower.
I thought the whole limo driver scene was kind of weird. At first I thought it was like, oh, the bad guys are going to pick him up. Because he just came out of nowhere. I didn't know he was going to a Christmas party. I didn't know he was meeting his wife. He's just off the airport, and all of a sudden there's this limo driver waiting for him. I was like, this seems sketchy to me. And he sits in the front, which I thought was interesting. And he doesn't ask any questions about why the limo driver's there. And it's a shitty limo.
Yep, it's not really that much of a limo. It looks more like a town car.
It's been stretched.
Yep, and it is so high tech that it has a VHS player in it.
I didn't notice that.
That's what Argyle said. Is when he was listing off all the stuff it was equipped with, he said that it had VHS, which is top of the line.
Nice. It also had that nice classic rap Christmas song playing in the background of the limo ride. I was like, classic.
Yep. Argyle was talking too much in the limo, so he would get a low Uber score.
You get scored down in Uber for talking too much?
If your driver's talking too much and you don't want to talk.
Didn't know that.
And if they're talking about your personal life that you clearly did not volunteer.
He could have sat in the back.
That's true.
He kind of asked for it.
So we're blaming John McClane.
Yep. I'm going to just go ahead and blame him throughout the movie.
And he keeps acting like California is like a really exotic place.
Well, he is from New York.
So his wife, Holly, is in Parenthood.
Yes. I love that show. It took me, an hour to remember what TV show I had seen her in. It was Parenthood. What's her name again?
Holly.
Her maiden name.
I don't know.
Which he's super upset with, that she goes by her maiden name at her new job. But you know what? I think he is at fault here in that relationship. He was such a man's man cop from New York that he could not handle that his wife was successful and needed to move to California for her job, which can only be done in California, unlike a cop, which he could work in California. And he acts like he's this family man, like keep showing his pictures in his wallet of his family. He couldn't even move to California with her to support her because you wouldn't want a powerful woman.
And I'm assuming she makes way more money than a cop.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that office building? And she's like the boss because she had people under her.
She was like second in command.
Yeah, so I kind of thought he was a douchebag.
Yeah, well, I wrote that I'm not sure which one of them is selfish.
I think he is. She's just trying to follow her dreams. He like says New York needs him or something like that, but
Well, clearly he's really good at his job.
he is more than a cop. He was lying. He's like ridiculous.
So we get a bunch of these truck shots of this ominous truck that's just driving around. And
The Pacific Courier truck. I knew from the beginning that truck was up to no good.
well, yeah. Well, I already knew something about this movie, so I knew that it was going to be full of terrorists. Which we'll get into. They waste no time walking in the building and just shooting the front desk guy.
Oh yeah, they mean business. They're
But
professionals.
they do have a black guy cast as the scrawny computer tech, like savvy person.
Way to represent.
But they still blinged him out in gold. He was wearing so much gold.
Yeah, but he had like the nerd glasses on, so like he's obviously smart because he's wearing nerd glasses.
That's correct.
Ooh, we saw boobs while shooting up the place. I wrote that down. It was the only nudity in the whole film.
Where?
Right when they're doing their shoot about, like when they come in and they start shooting everyone, there's like two people hooking up in the office when they open the door, and she's like laying on the desk, and I'm like, yay, boobs.
Oh, there's a picture on the wall later
I missed
that they like glanced past. So they do their work, shutting down the building.
Imagine how hard that would have been if they had cell phones back then. Do you think it would have been as easy as it was for them to take over a building and no one find out if everyone had cell phones?
They could have just used a jammer.
Oh, I was like, oh, why don't they just like call 911 on a cell phone?
But if you use a jammer, it would jam anyone else within the range of the jammer. So people in the neighborhood would probably start complaining, and then they'd probably investigate and find out that there was a jammer.
So yes, it would be harder in this day and age to take a skyscraper hostage.
Almost as hard as taking a government outpost in a national park and holding it for like 3 weeks.
Back to something.
John's barefoot for like the whole movie.
Oh, I know, his poor feet. I noticed that, especially at the end when they were like he was digging glass out of it. But I noticed something I forgot. They're having a Christmas party on Christmas Eve. Like, do these people not have families?
I think she was the only person who probably had a family, and the lady that was pregnant didn't have a family yet.
Pretty sure someone got her pregnant and is probably at home waiting for her on Christmas Eve. And no one's family's there. It's just like the 30 employees.
They should at least get a +1.
Right? But we did get some Coke references. It was 1980 from our fun-loving partner. He was her partner, right?
Ellis.
Yeah.
Yep. I felt bad for Takagi, the CEO, owner, whatever he was, because apparently he went through Japanese internment during World War II.
Oh, yes, we get to find out his whole history when the
And
main bad guy...
listed off.
Yeah, please stalker mode on him.
Yeah, well, he went through Japanese internment, and then now he's going through terrorism.
Was it terrorism?
It was terrorism.
To me, it seemed more like, robbery, but...
It's when terrorism was still cool.
Well, I thought terrorism was like for the point of terrorizing, not for like financial gain. And these people are clearly there to get something out of a safe. So this seems more like robbery hostage than terrorism.
I think at this time terrorism was a little broader and didn't carry as much of a stigma. Like you could still possibly escape the country after doing all this and you'd be fine. And you could be white.
Hey, there was a black guy. Like one black guy.
And he was like the only American.
Oh, no, we had two black guys because the limo driver.
No, but he was the only black terrorist.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And he was American because he did not have an accent.
He did not. So they were German.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one Italian in there, noted in the subtitles.
Because we watch everything with subtitles. So there was a part where they cornered John up on that like construction floor and said, "You won't hurt me because there are rules for policemen," which I thought was kind of cute because today he would have been shot so fast.
Do you think so, though?
That he wouldn't even have had a chance to say you.
That's true. They like held in this movie cops to like such a high standard that cops would never do anything wrong or kill anyone unless absolutely necessary. He kills him.
Yeah, because he's a cop.
Yeah, but he kills him without a gun. He broke his neck. And then he wrote a lovely message on his shirt.
Yep. Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Which is because it's Christmas. But if he was a cop, he would have referred to the gun properly because he wouldn't have just called it a machine gun.
What kind of gun was it?
Like a submachine gun.
Okay. Huge difference. I was expecting like ridiculousness because I've seen the last Die Hard and it was just like absolutely like crazy, like gunfire and shooting. And I actually felt like this one seemed more logical. Like if this were to happen, it could go down that way. Like they didn't make it super ridiculous, which I liked.
There's a great impression on the big black cop guy buying all of the snack cakes from the convenience store. And that is the point where you nailed the first quote that he said.
When I guessed the next line was going to be
that his wife was pregnant.
His wife was pregnant.
And that is not the last quote that you guessed in this movie.
It's a little predictable. But I noticed the police in this movie, the dispatches were arrogant and they were stupid. Like on one hand, we have John McClane like making policemen look like these heroes, these awesome people. And then anytime they speak with the dispatch or the chief, they're just like assholes who don't know anything and don't believe anything.
Yeah. And now I think you have to take everything seriously until you investigate. But I'm not sure because I'm not a cop.
Me either. But he's like he's calling on this emergency line. She's like, this is an emergency line only for emergencies. Like, we're going to report you. I'm like, dude, it's an emergency. He's calling you on this line. Anyway.
And even if it's a prank, you still have to check it out.
Well, they do. They send the overweight black cop.
After like him having to like beg them.
Yeah. At this point, when the cop is on his way, there's like mass amounts of gunfire on the roof.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
I'm like, how is no one in? I know this isn't a skyscraper and there are like a ton of stories in the area.
Still, you can hear like a gunshot from probably at least over a mile away.
And these are like machine gun type firing and like tons of it. No one notices. Even the cop who is pulling up does not hear the gunfire.
Yeah, but even when he was standing outside of the convenience store looking at the building, like it didn't look that far away.
No.
And there were people like on the roof shooting.
Yeah. I was just like, that's unrealistic.
You'd be able to hear some gunfire. So there's some climbing in vents.
What? Sorry?
A lot of climbing in vents.
Oh, yes. Lots of vent work.
And then Alan Rickman does... Oh, no, Alan Rickman doesn't do it. The guy downstairs does that like fake Southern accent.
Oh, at
the
security
front
guard.
desk, yeah.
Which, how have we not brought up that Alan Rickman is in this movie? This is the first time we've said his name.
Oh, yeah, he is... where did
amazing. Like, I had a hard time hating him just because I like Alan Rickman so much.
Yeah, he was much younger and still alive in this movie. Yeah, but he has really awkward facial hair.
Yeah, his just whole look in the movie is just not doing him any justice.
And a accent that goes in and out.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was trying to do a German accent on top of his British accent or just, I don't know what he was doing with that, but do I care even? Because it's Alan Rickman. So he's the bad guy.
Yep. So it takes him a while, but they actually finally send in backup after he dumps the guy's body on the cop car.
Yeah. I was happy that cop didn't die. I was really like nervous that they were going to kill the cop who told us his wife was pregnant. So
yeah.
I was like, yay, when he didn't die in that scene where his cop car drove backwards and fell off that like cliff thing. And then they finally believed him. But again, a disgrace to the police dispatching system when he even calls, because that guy's like not paying attention. And he's like, oh shit, stuff's going down. Do you remember that scene?
Where?
When the black guy calls into the dispatch for backup. They weren't even like paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, and then that's right when we got our first yippee-ki-yay motherfucker.
Well, because Alan Hans Gruber was really talking a lot of American trash at John over the walkie. Mm-hmm. I think that every single reference to Americans by a foreigner includes some kind of cowboy reference.
Yep. He called him John Wayne. He called him Rambo. And he called him Mr. Cowboy. And that's when he said it.
Yep.
The famous line. You know what I thought was really interesting? So he's a New York cop. He seems kind of like the typical manly man. Yet he was able to identify the type of Europeans that were the terrorists by their clothing labels.
Oh, I think he was like making a comment like these labels look foreign, so if they're not like Levi's.
No,
So
he identified their ethnicity. He said they're Europeans.
yeah, that's it. Just I think he looked at their
Oh.
tags and were like, oh, these look like European names, so they're.
I was impressed. I was like, good detectiving.
Oh, the news people. The news thing was kind of weak to me.
I
feel
thought it was
they,
unnecessary.
They kind of threw it in that like this guy was like trying to dig up the story about like the cop, or they didn't know who it was, but the guy who was like thwarting the terrorists from inside the building.
I think he just wanted his 2 seconds of fame.
Yeah, and he got it at the end in the form of a slap on live TV.
That guy, again, this movie was full of douchebags. That guy was one of them. He goes in, he assumes that when he goes to the house to find the kid, like find their kids.
Oh yeah,
he
I saw
assumes that she is a immigrant because she's Hispanic and threatens to turn her into immigration if he can't come in and interview the kids.
Yep, I wrote that down. That was a big assumption on his part, but then it turned out to be correct.
How do we? It doesn't say it's correct. I think she was just intimidated by him.
She got like all freaked out about it, so then she like
Yeah.
let him in.
Well, feeding into stereotypes there.
So they finally, when they call in like the team or whatever it is,
The SWAT team.
and they're like, LA's finest are on it. I think these are probably the same LA's finest that beat up Rodney King 3 years later.
Oh wow.
But that might just be me.
I this movie did not paint LA police force in the best of light.
Historically, I don't think LAPD has painted LAPD in a good light.
New York PD, they're the good guys. I like how the chief comes and he doesn't even take the situation seriously.
Yeah, he's not good at his job.
How much evidence do they need that this building is under attack to take it serious? He's like, oh, like the guy just fell off the roof. It was nothing.
If this movie illustrates anything, it's a failure in the police system.
But not New York police system, because the New York system has cops like John McClane.
The LAPD has cops like Al.
Yeah, but like remember like Al's backstory, which one I also thought was unnecessary. Yeah, I was like, really? Do we need to know your story?
Well, because then it makes finding out that he accidentally shot someone who was innocent
13-year-old.
later gives him that turnaround when he gets a chance to use his gun for good.
I feel like whether he had that story or not, that moment still would have been a good moment. Him shooting the guy in the end. Like,
Yeah.
did we need that backstory? No.
Well, it felt kind of like a stereotypical, like you have to put it into like an action movie if there's like some kind of troubled past that you get a chance to like redeem yourself.
So is he in the second movie then? Like, is
I
that
don't
like
know.
an opening for them to like join forces because they like had that moment at the end?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them.
Well, I haven't seen the first 3. So then after the cops come, they have the awesome explosion scene in the elevator, which I quite enjoyed and didn't think it was overdone at all.
I didn't quite understand how it worked because all he did was like wrap a wire around a computer screen and then push it down an elevator shaft and it blew up the C4.
I'm going to just go with it.
What really blew up was that supposedly like armored truck.
Oh, yeah. That was later in the movie, though, wasn't it?
That was before the computer explosion.
Oh. It did take them to... What was that cannon thing that they were shooting?
It was like shooting rockets at it.
It took 2 rockets to shoot it.
Yeah, I know, but
What did they call that thing again?
I don't remember what it was.
You thought it was like a remote
Yeah,
something.
because the initials made it seem like it was like a remote vehicle. But there are 2 people in it, and those
yeah.
2 people ended up not making it home for Christmas.
They did not. A lot of people died on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's why it's a Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's a movie that takes place around Christmas time. Not a Christmas movie.
Well, he has a present for his kids.
That he chose not to come to LA and be with, except on Christmas. Though I knew from the get-go that she was going to fall back in love with him because he's like this action hero star now.
Well, yeah, that's his story.
Also, this is right about when we get our best line of the movie. Did you get that line?
No, what line was it?
I didn't get the full quote, but it said butt fuck and jerk off all in the same sentence.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh, it was when he was yelling at the chief.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was like, yeah, I think that's the first time I've heard the word butt fuck in an action movie. So that made me happy.
There was a good joke when the FBI came in with Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson, and they were like, "We're not related," because like one of them was black and one of them was white.
I missed the joke. I heard the line. I missed the joke.
And then John finds Hans on the roof. So it's Alan Rickman doing an accent for his role, and then that person that he's doing a fake accent for is doing a fake accent.
It was pretty good. He was trying to be American, right?
Yeah.
I was convinced.
Yeah, his fake accent, I think, worked better than his Hans regular accent.
Agreed. This was like the face-off, like the first face showdown.
Then you call more of the cops' dialogue. You called that he had shot someone.
Oh, why he was like...
Yeah, why he was all troubled.
Oh, yeah, because he was like sitting behind desks and they called him into this job. Called it. Also, I have a question. So right after that scene happens, the FBI come in and they're like, I'm in charge now. They're like, we're going to shut the power off to 10 square blocks so that they don't have power. Yet if throughout the movie, there is still power all around them.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, I noticed. There was power on at the buildings around them. And then at the end scene, when they're like zooming out, the skyscraper has power.
Yeah. The building itself had like secondary power.
Yeah, but the whole point was they wanted to cut power so they were in the dark in this building.
Yeah, but the emergency lights came on.
What about like all the huge giant spotlights on the roof when everyone's on the roof and the helicopter is going to land? I was like,
they didn't do a good job.
No. But they made like a big deal about shutting down the power to 10 square blocks and that the FBI did have the power to do that. Which, do the FBI have the power to do that?
I don't know. I think that anyone has the power to do whatever. So they cut the power enough to unlock the vault.
Yes.
But not enough to actually do what they wanted, which was cut all the lights.
Correct. Because they, all along, Alan, wanted the FBI to come so they could shut down power to get inside the vault.
Get the last lock on the vault open.
To steal
bonds.
Again, thieves, not terrorists.
$600 million worth of bonds. It looks like the whole point of this was it was a like fake terrorist attack.
Oh, gotcha.
It was like a robbery under the pretense of being a terrorist attack.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that.
Because that way then the terrorism protocol went into effect.
I noticed something else. This movie falls into a cliche of bad guys never killing the good guy when they have the opportunity to do it. Twice at the end, they had an opportunity to straight up kill John, like 100%. The power was in their hands, and they didn't do it.
That's pretty standard. There was also a cliche of having way too much blood for whatever injury you sustained. Because like the amount of blood coming out of his feet,
that was gross.
He would have passed out from the amount of blood he lost.
Yeah, I don't know how he functioned at the end of this movie. He got beat up. He got shot at one point, didn't he? Like in the arm or something?
I think he got like shot in the back somewhere.
We never saw that wound again.
Nope.
Also, he is shirtless for a lot of this movie.
Well, he has the undershirt on.
No, that undershirt comes off, and he doesn't have a shirt on for like the end of the movie.
Oh, I didn't notice.
No, I did. Not that he's Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that kind of screws it up a little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, it's kind of a standard action movie. There's a big showdown at the end.
The slow motion death drop.
Yep. Oh yeah, before that when the like explosives go off on the roof and the helicopter blows up, I thought it was kind of interesting cuz all that stuff happened and the building didn't fall down.
Are you referencing something else?
So all I wrote was that it must have been because of the lack of jet fuel in that explosion.
What about the set explosions throughout the floors?
Oh, they were also missed. No, they had actual planned detonations like on the roof.
Oh, that's true.
And they still couldn't bring this building down.
How many stories do you think it was?
They were probably on the 40th floor?
No, I thought it was the 30th floor.
That's where the vault was, I thought.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not sure. But it was a very tall building.
It was a very tall building.
And it somehow stayed up through a massive amount of explosions.
Yeah, because they have an explosion on a mid-floor at one point, right? Mm-hmm. Like in the center of the building.
Yep.
And then again on the roof.
It's almost like that building was built like a building and won't crumble at some stuff being thrown at it.
I guess they just hired a good architect.
Oh, it's the people they didn't hire. So I forgot about Argyle.
Who was Argyle again?
The limo driver.
Oh, yeah, we did because he isn't in the movie at all until like he's in like 3 scenes. Yeah, he's sitting in the basement the entire time.
In his limo, partying it up. And then he helps save the day by, sadly, ramming his car into the only other black guy in the movie. Oh, no, wait. The cop's black, too.
Yeah, so there was 3 of them.
All right, well, they were still not really represented very much. And Argyle...
Saves the day. So how many hours do you think this film took? Like, what was the time frame for this? Because a lot of stuff happens. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This has to be like 3 days worth of stuff.
Yeah, it moved pretty quick. The time they had to do the safe, he told him it would take like 2.5 hours to unlock all the locks that he was able to get open.
This first 6. There was 7 total.
Mm-hmm. So he was able to get those locks done, he said, in like 2.5 hours.
Do you think the damage that they did to that building cost more than the amount of
That
money they
stole?
took from that safe?
That's what I was thinking. They probably cost more than $600 million worth of damage. Well, did any of the... Oh, yeah, I guess Ellis died. The 2 cops, Ellis, and the injuries from some of the other police guys that got, like, when they were trying to get in the front of the building. So that also cost a lot of money.
Also, was it 12 terrorists died in the end?
Yeah, but that doesn't factor into the cost.
Oh.
Because that was self-inflicted. They cost damage to the building, they cost life payouts on 3 people, and they cost injury damages on multiple cops.
Correct. They completely destroyed a skyscraper. That's got to cost more than $600 million.
Yep, but then they do the showdown. He saves the day. He didn't double tap the second German brother.
The brother of the guy of the elevator.
Yeah, the guy that was trying to kill him the whole time.
He was pissed off all movie.
Yeah, well, he didn't double tap him. And so he obviously came back at the end. And that's when Al got a chance at gun redemption.
Backstory not necessary. He still could have gotten that that heroic moment, whether we knew he killed a 13-year-old or not.
It makes it feel more real if you have a cop killing unarmed children.
Unnecessary.
Holly and John don't take the ambulance, don't even get checked out by an ambulance.
He's been shot?
Yeah.
He's been cut. His foot is fucked up. Like, how is he even walking on that foot? He's been beat up, and yet he gets in the back of the limo.
And they just like ride off into the moon set.
He's going to be questioned by the police for hours. There's no way they let him go.
Yeah, and they also wouldn't let you leave without getting checked out.
Right? It took a death scare for him to realize that it's okay for his wife to have a career.
Well, he learned his lesson, and everyone's happy.
It's such a great ending.
Happy Christmas.
Happy ending. It's like, what do they do? Do they like sit around the Christmas tree with the family in the morning and open presents after that went down?
They're like, oh yeah, Dad helped kill 12 international terrorists.
Merry Christmas.
Here, unwrap it, Junior. This is the gun Dad used to shoot 7 people last night.
He killed all. Didn't he kill all of them? Except the one that the owl guy kills?
I don't remember.
He pretty much takes care of everyone. It's one heck of a New York cop there.
Yep. So I think they're trying to say New York cops are better than LAPD.
I think that was clear. The whole purpose of this movie, it wasn't an action movie. It was just to prove that New York cops are better than LA cops.
It was NYPD propaganda. I thought this was an awesome movie. It's a great holiday movie.
I thought this was a great action movie filmed at the time of Christmas. Do I want to watch the next one?
Yes.
Bruce Willis is not my favorite actor, but I actually thought he did a good job.
Well,
he
did what he does.
He's like the Vin Diesel of the 80s.
Okay, then.
No?
We'll go ahead and just take that. Well, go watch Die Hard and do the American thing and kill some terrorists for Christmas.
Merry Christmas.